Okay, this is an interview I did with Phil Langdon. That is a personal interview before I did any kind of recordings except actually on my iPad. This was done October 30th, 2023. So this has been approximately 5 months ago. So here we go.
And I thought, well, yeah, this is because that's a starting point. I realized nobody knew anything.
Right.
I couldn't understand. I couldn't understand why adults didn't know anything. They don't even know why they exist. I thought, what is the point of your existence then? I don't understand why you don't want to know that. That's the only thing I want to know. So as I went around for years and years, I discovered no one gives a damn. I thought, well, I do. I give a damn. Right. It's my life in my hands.
Right.
It's in my hands, my life, not yours.
Right.
And all people are failing. I thought they're all failing themselves because they just give up. I thought, well, that's no use. That's no use to anyone. Never give up. You never give up. If you want to know something, never give up. You'll find out. You will. The idea you can't find these things out is utter nonsense. And the only reason people think like that is because nobody bothers looking. And when they do, when the rare occasion you find something does, and if they find something out, nobody believes them.
Right, because they're not famous and well known and not on television.
It's not the same. It's the content is beyond the
Ah, right.
It's very difficult to believe in that if you don't personally experience it. And I realized there were people in the world who were saying, hang on, there is something special about your life. And I thought, yeah, I agree. I think there is something special about life. There is a purpose to it. So I'm going to find out what that is. And the way I read about that, I thought, well, I need to understand physical reality first and use that as a foundation to launch and go higher.
What do you mean by physical reality?
I thought the best thing for me to do is to study physics and mathematics.
Okay.
So I wanted to do that in my teens, but there was a lot of distraction in my teens, and I became a musician instead. Long story, but it was basically a long distraction, and I ended up going back to college and university in my early 20s after about 6 years of working and seeing what that was like. So I went back and I studied maths and physics. And in my first year, I realized that my projected idea or goal that I want to understand the truth at the deepest level is actually possible. I realized in my first year at university I could do that. If I set my mind to it and just kept going, I could do that. Don't forget, there's nobody to overcome.
There's no one there to take your hand, so to speak.
Nobody. You stand your own, you do this, you're on your own. And you're basically
Faith in yourself.
Yeah, faith in yourself. Really go there with faith is that you know you can achieve something.
Right.
When you step on a boat on the shore of one country, you know damn well that boat is able to take you to the other country,
right,
across the ocean. If you have faith in the boat, it will do what it's supposed to do. In the same sense, I have faith in myself that if you could learn anything, what was to stop you? There is nothing to stop you. You can learn anything you want. And I thought, well, that means I can find out the truth. If I can learn anything you want, there are no restrictions. So that's what I did. I studied maths and physics, I studied psychology at the same time, applied everything to myself and the world around me, slowly developing a sense of reality. At the same time, though, you see, I already studied the paranormal and touched on lots of different subjects, and one of them was Kabbalah, which is Jewish mysticism. My dad was interested in Greek mythology as well, so there was a lot of Greek mythology around in my youth as well. And I was comparing all these things at the same time, right, wondering where did these myths come from? They seem to resonate with us. The people who wrote them must know what they're talking about. And we have science and we have religion in the modern world, and they don't mix at all. And if you're looking for the truth, it must be singular. The truth has to be singular. It can't be two things because there's competition.
What's duality?
Yeah, there's duality. It's not truth.
Not true.
Truth.
It's just like this type of thing, type of deal. So
Yeah.
I believe this, I don't believe this. I believe this, I don't believe this. That type of thing, back and forth type of thing, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but I want reality to prove itself to me. If you push something, you'll find out how heavy it is and what kind of mass it has. So you must interact with physical reality to understand it. So you must have a life in order to gain this understanding. You can't be a spirit forever.
Right.
You won't learn anything. There's no change in spiritual nature. Physical nature is all change, it's always change. And we use that in order to change our spiritual position. I didn't know this at the time.
Right.
But my studies took me into religion as well. I started analyzing the content of religion. And some of the religions seemed to know what they were talking about. And I thought that's very interesting because scientists seem to know what they're talking about as well. And these two people don't agree.
Right.
So if I'm going to find the truth, it might take 50 years, I don't care. That's the only thing I'm interested in. Because it's a great starting point. And then you know what you're doing. So I thought, well, if the truth is singular, it must stand above religion and science. There must be some unification between those two.
Right.
And that's what I was looking for. Okay. So Christianity is a fascinating religion, and it is full of the Son of God. If you go to science, they never talk about the Son of God. They don't even recognize what that is. They haven't got a clue what that is.
Right.
It doesn't even come into science.
Right.
So what is this issue of the Son of God? I've got God. Who is God? What's that all about, really? If you challenge these things, you do discover what they are. And I just carried on studying as much as I could, comparing over the years. Obviously, life, was there as well. I had to work, had to earn money, had to live, blah, blah, blah. You have relationships. I never got married.
Right.
I could have done, but I didn't want to. I didn't want to watch married. And I'm 53 now, I'm still not married.
Right.
So I thought, well, where else can I go with these studies? I kept looking for new stuff that would broaden my horizons and help me focus at the same time on the right issues. And I ended up pursuing various people. I found various people. One of them was Arthur Young, who is a logician. He was a fascinating, intelligent individual who discovered that there's a self-referential nature to physical reality. And I found that very interesting because it correlates with the Kabbalah exactly. Arthur Young corresponded precisely with Kabbalah, precisely. And that was my first lead and clue that these people actually know what they're dealing with, they know what they're talking about. And it led me straight to a guy called Walter Russell. And I encountered him a year after I went to Angkor Wat, so I was 43 by this point. Hadn't got anywhere with this stuff. I knew all this stuff, but I thought, well, this is useless unless it produces some results.
Right.
Knowledge in your brain is just wrapping around. It means nothing unless you actually use it for something.
Let me ask you a quick question. Did Arthur Young have any idea that you connected with Kabbalah?
Yeah, he doesn't talk about it though. I've never heard him mention it. He probably recognized that, but he started with his own subject and didn't bother talking about Kabbalah. Because as soon as you mention it, you're going to have to divulge it. That's a huge thing.
That's the whole problem.
You know what I mean? That's a real problem. But after you simply use logic, and I thought that must be right. Logic the truth must be logical.
Correct.
So you must be able to go backwards to the truth, to the singular point of truth, using only logic.
Right.
That's what I was doing. And I basically came across Walter Russell and his book, A New Concept of the Universe.
Right.
And the emphasis in this work that he produced was that there is a massive distinction between what is spiritual and what is physical. They are literally opposites, and because they're opposites, they have a relationship that's automatic. They go together. You can't have one without the other.
So you're mentioning here the religion and science, and you see them as the two, for example, for the two pillars, so to speak?
Yeah. You have to be able to understand and account for the contents of religion if you're going to find out truth. You must, because it comes from truth, all that material. And the contents of the Bible is nothing but the truth. It is simply misunderstood in today's world. That's all. There's nothing wrong with it. It's all perfect. And science is almost perfect, almost. So combining these two seems a fantastic foundation. Comparing the two is a fantastic thought experiment. It really challenges a lot of ideas. The misconceptions in religion I've recently discovered are due to semantics. People misunderstand semantics and they think it means this and that, so their mind is over there, and that should be over there, because it's actually talking about that. See, so discovering what things really mean is part of this discovery. You can't take the word of other people because they don't necessarily know what they're talking about. They might do, but you can't guarantee that.
So you have to go back to the original source.
Yeah, you must discover the truth for yourself. You can't rely on somebody else telling you about it. It's a good guide and a good advice to hear somebody else, but you must discover it for yourself. Otherwise, you won't know it. You can only know by experiencing. Yeah, you can only experience the truth yourself. Listening to somebody else is not an experience of the truth. So I thought, right, I have to experience this myself. And I didn't know what to do. So I was now 44, and I've read this book by Walter Russell 5 times, about 5 times, and literally ate it. I ate it, gobbled it up. It was so interesting, and all that was floating around in my head, and I didn't realise that I was right in front of the pinnacle itself. Because what he did there was put me in the place one step before ascension, and you get to that one step before ascension when you recognise and realise. Yes, it is spiritual and it is physical. If you think there's only physical, you are fooling yourself. You don't understand the distinction between observation and what is observed. There's a relationship there, a direct relationship. We are observers. We need a physical body in order to observe what is manifest. We can't observe it otherwise, because we are not physical. I didn't know that at the time. I discovered it through Walter Russell, but then you must prove it to yourself, and eventually I did. So I simply booked a holiday with my girlfriend, and we went to Thailand. I wanted to show her Thailand, because I used to work there years ago. And we tacked on a quick 3 days to Cambodia, because her mother had been to Angkor Wat a month before on holiday. And she said, you must go to this place, it's absolutely amazing. I knew about it anyway, but I didn't realise it was so powerful. When I went there, as soon as I got there, within about 3 minutes, I was in the company of God. It's just unbelievable. It's totally unbelievable. It was totally unexpected as well. I didn't expect anything at all. I didn't even expect to get anywhere with this knowledge, the thing I was doing for so long. Right. I didn't think it would arrive at anything, because there's no one to say that this is where it goes. You see?
Right. I would say you were simply what I would call a trailblazer. You were actually going out in the woods, so to speak, and you had to make your own trail to get to a particular place, and that was truth in itself. So what happened simply, you had to cut down limbs and this and falsehoods and this and that, what others said, and so that's, discard that, hold on to this, but discard this here. That's what you had to do. And there was no one, as you were saying, because as far as I know, I don't know anyone that has ascended or has enlightened themselves except you, as far as I know, in today's world. It doesn't mean there's not people out there. It just means simply is, that type of thinking is simply just not. Some people who may have already ascended in some ways, but maybe they don't know what to do. Maybe that's another case, or they don't have what I call modern communication, so they can't communicate by the internet, whatever. I don't. Anyway, the point simply is that. So Walter Russell had a very large impact upon you, although others had also in your life.
That's right. Yeah.
I'm not saying that Walter Russell was enlightened either. I'm just saying simply he had a part of a call. Let's just say this is like a pie, and it seems as though you got from certain people like Walter Russell, Arthur Young, there were a piece of the pie that began to actually come together. You see, and you also was reading, I'm sure, scripture, and you were saying, okay, this doesn't make sense, such and such. What are you talking about? Jericho, they went around the circle, they went around the city so many times, and they blew their horns. What is that all about? It's like, does this take place in reality? No, it doesn't. We don't go out. This is who is Noah? Who is Moses? Who are these people, so to speak, that we are told about and revered by in religion, so to speak? So what I'm trying to say simply is that you seem to take a lot. You had a pie. You didn't know that, but obviously God and His Spirit was working in you in a way to bring you essentially because you had a deep desire to know the truth, and you had a thirst for truth. And when you got something and drank it, oh, okay, I see this, but I've got to continue on. So I'm thirsting more. So I'm not going to quit here. You see.
That's right. That's right. The funny thing is, when you make that decision at any point in your life, you can do it any time you like. When you actually say to yourself, I need to know this, I want to know this, that changes everything by itself. Just that decision, just that focus on the overall goal in life.
Well, you're actually I don't know for lack of a better word, but manifesting. You're stating to the universe that this is what's important in your life. Okay, and I'm going to put my hand to the plow, so to speak, and pursue it with all energy I have.
Yeah, but the intensity of some of this information, for instance, when you read Kabbalah, it's so rich and intense, you do it in periods and short periods and bursts.
Yeah, what I was doing, what I meant is a generalization, saying simply is that there's in scripture it says a man, basically doesn't hand to the plow, and what I'm referring to simply is that there's a focus upon seeking things for is true. You see.
That's right. It's a mindset. It's an attitude.
Yeah.
When you're with friends, you don't employ that attitude. Of course, you just relax and enjoy yourself.
Right.
When you're studying, if you're looking out in the world and you study things, we talked about it before the internet as well. So there was a real restriction of information at the time. But when you're looking out to study things, you take in a portion over the 2 or 3 days, and then you digest it, and then you have a rest, you break, you just carry on with normal life. People think, you see, that you have to go in, it's overly intense on that. You don't. I never did. I've never become a monk or shaved my head or done anything like that. There's no need.
Right.
People do that. Yeah, I think people do that. I don't know whether they've lost touch with the original intention of doing that, becoming a monk. Maybe they just like their lifestyle. They don't like being stressed out by modern life. Okay, fine. Right. Some people become a monk in order to become one with God, and they don't make it.
No, they don't.
See, they don't make it, and I think, well, what were you doing? What exactly were you doing? You studying the Bible is not good enough.
No.
It's not good enough. If you don't understand what you're reading, what are you doing? You're reading something, you're misunderstanding it, and you're not reading anything else. What is?
Yeah, they're hoping for inspiration through the Holy Spirit, so to speak, because that's what they've been told to do. Yeah.
That's not going to happen.
No.
You can plead all you like. It's your attitude that determines the Holy Spirit coming to you.
Right.
You might think, well, they have the right attitude. Well, no, they don't. Studying the Bible is not the right attitude.
We have many people who studied. We've had many people in theological seminaries that study the Bible, whatever. One of the problems is, I would say, they come in with a presupposition of what they think it means. So they're not open-minded. They're actually closed-minded. So they're trying to make a square fit in a round hole, and that doesn't work. So that's what that's an argument I say with many Christians, is that they presuppose that such and such is what this means. Well, you've already set up the agenda of what you're going to believe. So you're not open-minded at all about any of this. You're just going in here and saying, I'm just going to try to make sure, saying you're thinking that you're being holy, but in reality, you're already stumbled, so to speak.
That's right. There's nothing holy about fooling yourself.
No.
Nothing. It's a total waste of time. Most people do not understand the contents of the Bible. They can't. It's not possible.
No. No.
They have nothing to relate to it, you see, so it's just fanciful stories that they have to believe in or something.
Well, that's what they've been taught, right? Yes, that they have to believe these stories, like I said about Jericho and Noah, and 40, so the whole earth was flooded, such and such. Well, da da da.
I would say I would never give the Bible to anyone to read, ever, unless I explain to them, look, this is what's really going on in this set of books here. It's all allegorical. When it talks about the 12 apostles, it's really talking about your brain.
Right.
When it talks about the Son of God, it's actually talking about heaven, because the Son of God is heaven itself. People don't know that. They think the Son of God is a person from heaven. No, the Son of God is heaven itself. They'll never tell you that. Why can't they know that? Why don't they know that?
Because I'll be straightforward. I went to seminary, and so basically they tell you certain things what their particular denomination believes, and so, but they are not looking again. They're looking for a job. I'm just being straightforward with you to make money. So they feel like they're doing something spiritual by studying the scriptures at a seminary. But those particular professors don't know any more than what the student knows, because they've gone to seminary themselves and they're just spitting out the same thing they were told 20 years before.
Yeah, that's right.
It's a sad situation. It really is. And I don't claim to have what you have. So that's the reason why, I'm still looking outside, so to speak. I have never had the ascension moment, such and such. But I do know simply is that, when I went to seminary, I saw things that didn't add up for me. But I was looking at it in a different way than even you were. So I was fortunate to realize I need to leave here. This is not what I want to do. I'm not going to teach this if I don't know it's true. I'm not going to get a paycheck for this, because that's not, I would be telling lies to my own students and I would deceive them. So why would I want to do that? I'm already deceived myself, so to speak. Why would I want to deceive others? Now, that doesn't mean I'm better than anybody. No. It's just simply as, I have books here still, talks about church history. But the point simply is, how do we even know that's true, you see? That's written by, theologians and history professors, such and such, and we don't even know sometimes if those things are true, you see. So, but anyway, carry on. Sorry.
That's right. Yeah, I don't know where to carry on to.
Oh, you were actually going to tell us about your Angkor Wat deal, and I interrupted you. Oh, you were there.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, Angkor Wat.
So that's in Cambodia. That's in Cambodia.
Yeah, it's in Cambodia. It's the biggest religious building or temple in the world.
Okay.
Angkor Wat, just in case anyone thought it was trivial, it's not. It's one of the most important sites on planet Earth. I didn't know that.
I didn't either.
When I went there, I walked into this temple. It's got surrounding walls. There's 3 surrounding walls at shorter and shorter distances. Right in the middle, you've got the main temple. As soon as I entered that main temple, I felt different. There's an atmosphere in there, and you can't pin down. You can't put your finger on it. I was trying to figure out what it was, and as I was doing that, for some reason, I was convinced that there was a 5-foot-high statue of a monk meditating in front of me, and he was following me. He wouldn't leave me alone, and it just kept getting stronger and stronger over the course of the next 2 or 3 minutes, to the point where, when I was inside the temple, sitting on what you might call a bench made out of stone, right. This statue was 5 feet in front of me. It wasn't physically there. It was in my mind, but I thought I was just inventing it. It was just some nonsense about being there or something. I didn't take it seriously. But as I sat there and stared at it, there was a white light on its forehead that was about 3 centimeters wide. And it was very bright, this white light, and there were radiating rings coming off it. And I was thinking, what is going on there? What is what I'm seeing? I don't know why you're in front of me. I don't know what's going on here. So I stared at it, and I was trying to figure it out. I looked into the light on his forehead, and I was trying to figure out what the nature of that light was as I was looking at it. And it was perfectly still. I found it very bizarre. So I was entranced by the fact that this pure white light was perfectly still. And as I'm becoming entranced by it, then I forgot everything else. All I could think about was this light and its nature, being still. And I pulled away from it, and I thought, my God, I've been looking at this light for half an hour. What have I been doing? I was completely disorientated all of a sudden. And it had actually been about 7 or 8 seconds, no more. But I felt like half an hour had just disappeared. And I should get up and I should carry on, because I can't just sit here all day. And as I got up, I felt, my God, I feel completely different. I don't know why I feel like this. And I started to analyze this sort of change in mentality or consciousness. And I realized I'm standing in the middle of a garden. I can't see the garden with my physical eyes, but I know damn well I'm standing in a garden. And in this garden, there's a person associated with this garden, and it's just one person. And they seem to be spread out everywhere, all at once. I thought, well, I need this person to become focused so I can interact with them, maybe. I don't know who this is. Who is this person, I'm thinking? Who are you? I'm asking myself. I didn't say it out loud, I was just asking myself in my mind. Who is this person? This is fascinating. There's a person here, and I don't know who they are. Who are you? And I'm looking around. I mean, we walked outside by this point, and we stood still. She was looking at some Cambodian dancers who were doing a traditional dance in the grounds just outside the temple. And while she was standing there watching it, I was looking up into the sky. And I was trying to fix myself on this person who seemed to be spread out all over the place. And I thought there must be some focus to this person, somewhere that I can interact with. And I'm looking up into the sky, and my mind is spread out, and feeling is everywhere all at once. And I'm saying, who are you? Who are you? I'm looking up into the sky. And all of a sudden, he focuses on the point in the sky where I'm looking, and it becomes an actual person that I can relate to now. There was nothing to see. Nothing. If you looked up in the sky, you wouldn't see anything. You think I'm just making this up. Right? But this person was real. I could feel that their presence very strongly. And now they're focused right where I'm looking, and he's looking directly at me. And I knew that he was looking at me directly. And he knew that I knew he was looking at me. So we made this connection, this mental connection, that we knew of each other directly. And as soon as we made that connection, we went, whoosh, and he's standing right next to me now. Just shot out of the sky. He's standing right next to me. In less than a split second, he's right here. And now my attention is to my left, because he's standing to my left, 2 feet away from me. And I said to him, are you God? He didn't say anything. There was no answer. He was looking at me, and he had a smile. I knew he had a smile on his face. I knew it. Couldn't see anything. Nothing to see. But I could feel his nature. I could sense it, intuit his nature directly. And instead of saying anything, he simply walked into my body. He walked into me without hesitating. And then he proved himself, you see, instead of saying, yes, I'm God, that doesn't mean anything. What he's doing is, I'll show you that I'm God. I'll prove it to you. So he walks into my body and he proved it. No two ways about it. This is God. This is God. I immediately started elevating into the sky, not physically. It was as if I was being pulled up into the sky, literally. It took about 5 seconds to go to the equivalent of the upper atmosphere, and I had no body weight left to me whatsoever. I was losing my body weight as this occurred. In 5 seconds, I had no body weight. I'm still standing there, but my appreciation of my body has vanished. It's completely, and it's just a thing that's there. It has nothing to do with me anymore. Nothing whatsoever. I am not my physical body. I realize I have nothing to do with that. This is what I am. I'm like this person. We are spirit. This is our true nature. And I realize that in that moment. And you fall in love. When you meet God, you cannot help but fall in love. And it's the deepest love that you can ever imagine. I just cannot describe it. It's never ending. It just never ends. It goes on forever. It's just utterly overwhelming. And you have nothing to say. You are absolutely speechless. I didn't know what to say. When God walked into my body, we had a very short conversation, in fact. And the very first thing you feel is like you're being hugged, and you're being embraced. And it's a wonderful embrace. It's, oh my God, thank God I found you. It's that kind of embrace. It's not just a, all right, mate, you're right. No, this is a deeply loving embrace. And as he was embracing me, the love coming from God was full of gratitude. And I didn't understand why. I was shocked by that. I was completely dumbfounded. And I was basically standing there aghast. That God is God of the universe is hugging me, Mr. Nobody from nowhere, and he's showing me gratitude. And my attitude was, I don't understand why you're showing me this gratitude. I don't feel like I've done anything to deserve that. And I was basically saying, why are you showing me gratitude? And his exact words were, for being honest with myself, as I questioned everything.
So what you're saying simply when you asked and you got the answer being simply said you being honest.
Yeah,
with yourself.
You're fully honest. I want to be with you. I want to know you. That's what he was saying.
So in other words, that he saw your heart, your desire within you, that you desired the truth more than anything else in life. In fact, it's more important than life to you.
That's right.
Because you had already set out an agenda in your early life to search this out no matter what.
Yeah, that's right. I stuck to it,
And God was gracious enough. God was gracious enough to reveal Himself to you, and saying, basically, I'm being honest. And you're probably saying to yourself, "What do you mean by being honest?" And so,
I knew what you meant. I knew he meant being honest with myself. There's nothing to do with being honest with other people. That's what I was
going to say. Yeah, because we think about being honest with other people. That's what pops in my mind. So, yes.
It's your relationship with yourself that counts.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what counts.
Okay.
Yeah. So I realized that in a moment, and he said something else. I don't want to talk about what he said next because it's way too much. But what he said at the end was, "Do you want to come home?" And I didn't know what he meant. I didn't understand. He didn't explain. I was like, oh, what do you mean? Do you mean I have to drop dead and carry on in heaven with you now? That's fine for me, but not for everybody else, I'm afraid. I'm here with my girlfriend. She's not going to take my body back to England. I'm sorry, that's just morbid.
Right.
I think he found that quite amusing. Totally misunderstood that.
I probably would have thought the same thing. Yeah, well, if I drop dead, we're not going to be buried yet, so to speak. And she wouldn't know nowhere. What would she do? She's just my girlfriend. She doesn't know me.
Yeah.
I mean, she knows me, but she doesn't know me deeply, like my parents or, or your sister or brother.
I said, no, I'm going to carry on living my life. But he didn't say anything. It was like he was amused. He was like, whatever. You don't understand what I'm saying to you.
Right.
No, I don't. We don't understand ascension. It's impossible to understand ascension. I had no idea he was referring to ascension that was about to occur 5 days later. I didn't know. But that's why I didn't say anything, because there was nothing to explain, because it was going to happen anyway.
You're going to go get it no matter what.
Yeah.
And I guess that simply God Himself is revealing to you simply is, maybe I'm putting too much on you. Maybe wait till you get back to home, and then you can kind of take it all in.
Yeah, I think so. It's a minimal conversation, really minimal. There's no more than what was essential, And when I came home, I was just absolutely blissed out. I couldn't stop being in a state of bliss. And in this bliss, you can just sit and do nothing. Just sit. And just enjoy the bliss. There's nothing to do. So I did. And while I was doing that, actually something else that happened just after Angkor Wat was there are 76 temples in the complex, I think, in Cambodia. It's a massive city of temples, and a lot of them are where the old kings of that city were buried.
Right.
So they'd build themselves a temple during life and then be buried in it when they died. So there's lots of them. And the second temple we went to was called Bayon. And when I went to Bayonne, I'd already met God. I was in a state of bliss, and we were walking around in Bayonne, and Bayonne famous one with all the faces. It's very
Right.
famous. As soon as you see it, you recognise it. It's got weird temples on top. They're actually shaped like a pineal gland. So the every top of a column is a pineal gland, basically. And Bayon is a temple devoted to the pineal gland. I didn't know that.
So there were 4 of them, is that correct?
I think there are 52 columns to this temple. There's only one floor.
Yeah, no, what I meant was simply to the pineal gland, what you call, you said there are 4, what I'm calling the spires or whatever upper part of it. Is that 4 of them?
Bases, yeah, the columns are square, right? There are 4 bases on the column, 4 massive. They're about 6 foot high. It's a base that's 6 foot high, and it's right in front of you on the first level of this temple.
Okay.
So when you go up onto the first floor, that's all there is, not any higher. All the faces are right in front of you on this layer, and you can't avoid being stared at by them. Mm-hmm. So I was looking at it, thinking, why did they build all these faces? What's the point of that? I know about the 4 faces of Brahman, that's a religious concept, but I was thinking just the immediacy of a human being standing in this temple that is designed for human beings. It's for our benefit this temple exists.
Right.
So there must be something about it that's very direct and simple. And I was going to say of this, don't forget, when I'm looking at this face, it's 6 foot high, about 10 feet in front of me, and I'm thinking, why are there so many faces here? And all of a sudden it occurred to me, well, when you want to talk to somebody, you go and speak to them face to face.
Right.
And I thought, right, does that mean this temple is trying to tell me something? And as I'm thinking that, there was a sensation right in the center of my head. And it felt like 2 tiny little surfaces about this wide, literally 2 surfaces rubbing together like that. And I felt them rub together. There was a physical action inside my head. I never felt anything like it before in my life. And it didn't worry me. I just thought, what was that? What was that? So now my attention was turned to inside my head. And I'm sort of looking ahead of me at this face while I'm doing that. And as I did that, about 2 feet in front of my point of view, this black oil came out of this tiny little point about 2 feet in front of me. This black bubble of oil started expanding out of this bubble in midair. And I was standing there watching it. I couldn't believe my eyes. And it grew to a certain size and then stopped coming in at this point. It was now free floating, wobbling. It was black and shiny, pure black. And it instantly burst. And inside it was this word written in 3-dimensional letters in pure white, in proper English. And the first word was you, Y-O-U. And I thought, oh my God, that's a word. And then as I saw that word, it started to fade. Another black bubble of oil came out at the same point. And did the same thing. Another word is different. The second word was R, A-R-E. You are. Now I know that a sentence is going to be constructed. Okay. That sounded like a pop sentence. And it ended up saying 12 words. And it said, you are mind. Mind is stillness. Stillness is timeless. Timeless is eternal. Therefore, what it was telling me was that mind or awareness of the observer, you and me, the true nature of us, is eternal. See? So I thought, my God, you're telling me I'm an eternal being like everybody else, and we're all eternal beings. So this is a new sort of concept because I didn't understand much about this sort of thing. I didn't feel as though I was confident enough to go into this sort of subject, but now I'm kind of being kicked into that ballpark, and I have to discover this subject. So when I came home the following day, I spent about 4 days, 3 to 4 days, sitting in this precise chair, sitting right where I am now. And I was just sitting there all day, didn't move. I barely even ate anything. I was just sitting there thinking, contemplating. What does that mean? What does that mean? Stillness, timeless, and eternal. What does it mean? Everything physical is transient. Everything physical is the exact opposite of those qualities. So I quickly realized, well, time and timelessness are exact opposites, aren't they? And transience and eternity are exact opposites. They all have their opposite characteristic. And the opposite characteristics of stillness, timeless, and eternal are all physical characteristics. So now I'm reaffirming what Walter Russell has written about the nature of spiritual and what's the nature of physical. Physical is transient, it has certain characteristics, and the spiritual nature is the exact opposite. So now I thought, well, how do they fit together? If the truth is a unified whole, they must come from the same source, the same truth. So I need to fit these together and figure out how they work together. Does physical nature come from spiritual nature? Does spiritual nature come from physical nature? Do they produce each other? What is going on there exactly? So I went through various thought experiments. And the third day of my thought experiment, at 9:30 in the evening, I produced a thought experiment that actually worked. And it was simple enough to get my head around, but it had enough depth in it for me to grasp how these two things fit together and what the truth is behind them. And the truth behind them turned out to simply be God. That was the answer. God. And I had an image of a man, like an enlightened man holding a stick with a great big cloak on. Because I had spiritual ideas and physical ideas in my mind's eye. And I realized that the physical ideas came from what's spiritual, and what's spiritual is nothing but God. There is only God. Right. This was the answer. When I read the instant I got there is only God. The instant I got that, I shot out of my body. There was an event first, I must say, because the thought experiment was going on in my mind, and I had an image in my mind that walked out of itself. It just walked by itself. And all of a sudden I feel like I'm in the inside, bizarrely, of a football stadium-sized eggshell. And I'm inside it, and I'm sort of floating inside this eggshell. That's exactly what it looked like. It was beige and white, with this sort of surface around it. Right. And as soon as that surface became apparent to me, a scroll came out of a point right in front of my face and shot in two directions at once. Immediately went shot out of this point, and the scroll went left and to the right. And phenomenal speed. It was so fast I couldn't see what was written. It was blur. I was looking at it thinking, what am I looking at now? What was that? It looks exactly like a scroll. Where's it going? Because it went to the left. Where's it going? So I'm turned to the left now in this scenario. I can see the vanishing point it's going into. I can see where it's going to. It's like an infinite distance away. And as I'm looking at that, I thought, my God, it's gone to an infinite distance. It's going to infinity. And all of a sudden, I thought, oh, hang on, something's going to change. Something's about to happen. I don't know what it is. I thought, wait a minute, because I want to see what's on the scroll. So I brought my gaze back up to the scroll. And it's still there, it's still right in front of me, still rushing away and pouring out this way. And I'm looking at the left-hand side, and I thought, if I follow it and try and catch its speed, I might get a snapshot of what's on the surface, because it looks quite interesting. And as I tried that, all I got was a blur of white and a blur of gold. So it was white and gold. The top half was white, the bottom half was gold. And it was white and gold along the extent that I looked at right now. And the white and gold froze in place. The scroll kept going, but the white and gold was frozen there. And as I looked at it, I thought something's about to happen. And all of a sudden, it felt like a shutter went down behind my eyes and switched them off. Literally go blind instantly, and everything is black, it's just pitch black. And you go whoosh, you fly up vertically up out of your body, seemingly into outer space. What you think is outer space. In fact, what has occurred is that you have taken off at your natural speed, which is light speed. And at light speed, there is nothing. Light speed removes the entire universe because all lengths contract to zero at light speed. So no matter what the size of the universe is, it will collapse to zero for you. And you are the equivalent of its birthing condition, which is zero. This is what it is at the other side of light speed, it turns out. The birth of the universe is on the other side of light speed. That's something that's fascinating. It's known now to help you reconstruct this event since, so I can write it down and say, this is what's going on in this event. It took a long time to be able to do that. Anyway, so when you rush up at light speed in this pitch black void, you suddenly stop. It's as if you suddenly stop without any jolt. It's as if motion simply ceased. you are now floating seemingly in a infinite pitch black void of nothing. It's completely empty. It's so vacuous. You can feel the vacuum if you are it. You can actually, it's as if you are it. This is so you are the abyss. This is what they call the abyss in the ancient past. It's infinite pitch black void with nothing there. Apparently, though, it turns out this is your natural state. This is your fundamental nature. When you turn around, it turns out there's a massive white cloud right behind you with laser-like beams of light coming out of it at certain positions on the cloud surface. And the cloud has a very specific shape. It's very circular and amorphous at the back, and it comes forward towards you. It looks very similar to the head of a lion. It's very much like that. Very big at the back, and as it comes forward, it tapers. But the front of this cloud is a square. It's perfectly square. So the back is circular, and the front is square. And as it comes towards the square, it becomes more and more square off as it does so. So you get these definitive surfaces on the cloud from which the beams are projecting outwards. And the length of these beams is about 10 times the length of the cloud. So they go out quite a distance. They're very, very long, and they're perfectly straight. I've never seen anything so straight in my whole life. I was looking at it because that is absolutely perfectly straight. It's perfect. So now you turn around and see this cloud, it turns out you are at the end. There are two beams that come out the front of that square face. They come out towards you. They're fixed in place. They're like arms with hands on the end. And they look like that at the end. There's a very fat central portion. There's just a column coming towards you. All of a sudden it smears out and fills up. And there are two other smears. It's like the end of a neuron. It looks just like the end of a neuron. And that is right in front of you. Right in front of you. You've got nobody. There's nothing physical about this scenario whatsoever. The only physical nature of this cloud is its shape and its form. But it gets from physical nature because it's birthed from your pineal gland. And what occurred there is that the Holy Spirit, as God, being inside your body, literally living inside your body from the moment you met God, is now expanding from the center of your head. And by doing that, because it comes out of the pineal gland, there are crystals in the pineal gland that register this expansion. It seems that we can surmise from hindsight, and that's what creates the nature and the shape and form of this cloud. And when you do leave your body, you have no physical size. You don't have any size whatsoever. Size is meaningless in this condition. See, and you don't realise that until afterwards as well. But once you turn around and see the cloud and you say, "My God, what is that?" All of a sudden you start moving around it. I moved about halfway towards it recently. And you must realise this is what you might call a counter space. So every particular point in that space is exactly the same place. It's very unusual to think like that. Therefore, all I have to do is think. There's also the mental plane. It doubles as the mental plane, this space. So it's your most natural environment. So if you think, I want to see this about the cloud, all of a sudden you're there.
So you didn't ask or anything. You just thought of it and it appeared.
Yeah, I was talking to myself. I thought, my God, what is that? And the instant I did that, I suddenly found myself halfway towards it, closer to it. And now I realize I can move relative to this cloud. So I want to see the front. I want to see it close up. Why is it looking at a cloud? Why am I looking at a cloud? I don't understand. All of a sudden, I'm right in front of it. The surface of the cloud is like 10 feet in front of me. I'm staring at it. Why is this a cloud? What am I doing? What is this place? I was trying to figure out what was going on at the time. And you eventually move around. Everywhere around this cloud, you have close-up looks at this. I went right close up to one of the beams. It was about 15 feet wide when I was about 10 feet away from it. But when you come away from the cloud, it's a very thin, hair-like beam coming out of this cloud. And the cloud really takes over the appearance of the object in total. It's the cloud nature that gets you, not the beams. They're almost trivial beams. And you're absolutely fascinated by why we're looking at the cloud. What is that doing in this infinite void? It doesn't make sense to me. So I moved around it a lot. I actually realised that in the abyss, what you think of, you produce. So as I came away from it after about 10 minutes of moving around and looking at it close up, I thought, I still don't know why it's a cloud. And I've distanced from it now again. So I'm looking and I thought, right, I really want to know why that's a cloud. It's like a cloud. And as I was thinking about this lens, a lens literally appeared in front of me. And it zoomed up the surface for me somehow. And I could see there was a compacted bundle of fibres curling out of the cloud and back in like that. They're about, imagine a ponytail of hair with about 200 to 300 fibres of hair in it. Very, very tightly packed together in a perfect cylinder. And it's pure white. And you have it curling like that, almost like a rainbow. And as I'm looking at this close-up of this cloud surface, I realise the entire cloud is covered and made by a crisscrossing basket weave of these fibre bundles, if you like. And that's what it looks like close-up. As I was looking at that close-up fibre bundle, the room that I was in prior to leaving and going into this abyss, came back into view over the course of the next second. But I'm back in the room. And I'm no longer looking at the cloud. I can use my eyes. My eyes are open. And they work. I'm not blind, but I can't move. I couldn't physically move. I couldn't activate my body. And it took 4 hours for me just to be able to stand up really slowly and go to bed, because it was about 1:30 by that point, after 4 hours of not being able to move from 9:30 when the event occurred. And the following morning I woke up, I was very, very, my body felt like a floaty sort of weight around me. It didn't feel like it used to. I felt very different. I thought, my God, what have I done? What have I done? I've done something. I don't know what I've done, but I need to figure out what it is.
I need some medicine. Something's wrong with me. Something's happened.
It's nothing has changed. I don't know what it is. I immediately typed in Vishnu and cloud onto the Google search engine and found a reference to that cloud in the Hindu book.
Oh.
And it really shocked me. I thought, oh my God, it's not the cloud I saw last night. Because it was talking about the cloud in terms of Vishnu, the God who creates things in the universe.
Right.
And I didn't think of it in those terms, and I looked up the book of Revelations immediately after, because I remember reading about a white cloud in it before, but it was a bit vague. I thought, what? So I started reading Revelations, and it immediately started talking about the cloud, and I had another shock. This is what they're talking about. I was thinking. And I carried on reading. I thought, oh my God, idiots. Oh shit. What have I done? I've seen this. What am I going to do now? I don't know what to do. And then I carried on reading, and I got to the 6th chapter where they start talking about the seals.
Right.
And I read the first 3 seals, and I thought, I'm going to make a prediction to myself. When I get to the 6th or 7th seal, I'm going to read the experience I had last night. I guarantee it. So I turned to the page, apprehensively read it, and I thought, oh my God, that is it. That's exactly what happened. It says, the heavens were treated like a scroll being rolled up, and every mountain and island is removed from its place. Exactly what happened. What's it mean? I have to reevaluate everything. What do I do now? I don't know. I don't know what I'm supposed to do with this. So I just carried on reading, and I read other things in the Bible, so I understand. That's really weird. I never understood that before. Now I know exactly what I'm reading. That's very strange. How do I know that? Why do I know that? I don't get it. I don't understand it. So I carried on like this, within a month, I thought, oh my God, I realised what's happened. I'm illuminated. I'm illuminated. So, Jesus, this planet is full of demons. They're going to kill me.
Oh.
If I talk about this, they're going to kill me. There's no two I won't last. It'll take about a month. They'll turn up at my house and kill me. I thought, what am I going to do? I don't know.
So you had those thoughts of fear at that point?
No, it wasn't fear. I didn't have any fear. I don't have any fear of death.
Okay.
It was that if I don't get a chance to talk about this, very few people have experienced this.
Right.
This is a golden opportunity. and it hurt.
Correct.
For humanity.
Right.
It really is. I don't want that ruined by a bunch of dickheads who are going to try and kill me.
Right.
They're not going to do that. So I'm going to keep this quiet for a while.
Right.
And I'm going to put very, very short, small videos out on my YouTube channel, which is what I did. I didn't appear on camera yet. It took about a year before I thought, you know what, no one said anything against me. So I'm going to do something and just test the field and see what happens. So I did something, and a few people wrote some nasty comments. Here we go. Here we go. Here they come. Here they come. Here come the demons. Yeah, to try and get rid of the person that's got all the answers. That's not going to happen. If I have to defend myself physically with a gun or a sword, I will do so. If these people want to try me, I will absolutely destroy them. I have a thing in me, a killer instinct. They will not take me out. They will not. I will destroy these people first. So I thought, I need to do something about this, because these people are very dangerous. There are some very dangerous people on this planet. And they'll do anything to remove a person like you or like me. I knew that. So I thought, I'm going to set a trap. I'm going to set a trap for these people and find out who the serious ones are. So I ended up setting a trap, but it took 4 years to do that. Because I was constantly waiting, and started making more and more videos. I got a few bad comments and bad responses, but I thought, overall this is going okay. Nothing serious is happening. And then after about 4.5 years, I thought, you know what, nothing's happened. No one's actually attacked me. But then nobody knows where I am. Why don't I give them the opportunity and see what happens? So I did. I had a LinkedIn profile at the time, and I put my place of work on my LinkedIn profile, which is a normal thing to do.
Right.
But because there are people who want to kill me, I knew they would see that, and I knew they would take advantage of it, so I waited for them. And I predicted what would happen. I predicted that they would send a woman. She would be extremely attractive, and she would try and distract me. This was my prediction. That's exactly what happened. Exactly what happened. So I knew I was on top of the situation, and I knew that I understood my enemy. The point of doing this was to know the enemy. I want to know what they're like, what they think about, what they consider important, and why they consider that important. This sort of thing. They like authority. They don't want to lose their authority. Most people don't. That kind of thing. I will destroy their authority. I will destroy them. All of them. I will destroy them. I know I will. This is a time on earth that everything is going to change. It really will, because I'm not here alone. I didn't know that until 3 months after my illumination event. Because when I came home after work, 3 months after being illuminated, as I stepped into my house, something exploded out of my chest, randomly and suddenly. And it turned out to be some unpacking of a three-dimensional hologram, or a picture that I was standing in the middle of. And I was now surrounded by thousands and thousands and thousands of people. And I'm physically standing in the doorway to my own place, on my own. Right. As far as looking, I can see all these people. There's thousands of them all around me. They're all angels. Every single one of these people is an angel. This is what they look like on earth right now. Therefore, they are all incarnated on earth as we speak. There are thousands and thousands and thousands of them. The earth has been flooded with angels. I didn't know that. And this is when I found out. And I'm one of them. And there were two of the angels standing in front. They look like normal people. Right. They're just regular looking people. Right. Yes, you do. You don't change the way you look. No. You don't grow physical wings. That's symbolism. Right. For angels, and the halo symbolism. And so in front of me is a woman. She's about in her mid-30s, but her face is a complete blur. I can't see her face. I can see the shape of her head. I can see everything else crystal clear. Everybody else is crystal clear. Their face crystal clear. The man standing next to her, I'll remember him to my dying day. Exactly what he looks like. If I encounter him, I'll know immediately it's him. Haven't encountered him yet, and this occurred in March 2015. Because it's angel vision. And the woman standing in front of me, I had never seen her before, but somehow I knew no idea why. I'm taking a look at that. This is my best friend. I've never seen this person before. What is this? These are angels on earth. I take it. Okay. It's up. Shall I pursue them? Shall I look for them? I didn't need to. Talking to some people, and I realised, you're an angel. I can tell by the way you talk. It's different to other people. You're different. So I started encountering these people. I didn't recognise anyone as such. And I thought, I wonder if I'll see these two people that are standing in front of me. They're my best friends. My best friend, apparently. Maybe I'll meet them in the future.
Right.
But when I dated the attack by devil worshippers or whatever, useless people that are on this planet who think they're clever. When I baited that attack, the person that came down to attack me was the woman standing in front of me in the hologram.
Wow.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that until 4 months later. So something happened. When she came by, you see something very, very strange occurred. Very strange. This girl was loaded with magic. She came down to dump a hex, this called a hex, on me, to prevent me from continuing my happiness. The point is to destroy your happiness. It didn't do that. I was on the warpath. I was going to kill this person, I'm afraid. I thought, I'm going to kill this person. You come down to my place of work and you drop magic on me, and you run away. She literally ran away. She was moving so fast I couldn't keep up with her. So she obviously come down just to do this. And because of that, because of the nature of what I am and what I was doing, and the fact that they wanted to do that, I would remove them from the planet. I would. Those people are demonic. And I will remove them if I have to. If they get in my way, I will remove them. So there is no problem with that. God is on my side. There's no two ways about it. I'm here for a good reason. They want to remove me for some whatever stupid, childish reason they have. It won't work. It will not work. So I've been at war with this person who's supposed to be my best friend ever since. It's bizarre. I'm just thinking, I can't believe that my best friend, my best angel friend, is the person who is now my enemy. That doesn't make any sense.
That doesn't make any sense at all.
Obviously, she has been got at by goodness knows what. The devil will come and get you, especially if you're an angel. You will be targeted by the devil and demons. They will target you. You have protection. There's not protection anyway. But you need to know that up front. You need to be aware of that. You can't go into this naively.
So you're talking about what I would call, in a way, spiritual warfare that's taking place that you are aware of, because simply is that you've been eliminated, and you can see you're thinking these people are such and such, and then what happens simply is they're not what they appear to be, or they are, but they've been somewhat taken over by an entity that actually maybe has destroyed them. Could you say that word?
I don't know because I don't know them. I can't.
Right, so you don't know. We won't go there that far. But I'm just saying simply is that this realm we're in, you're saying there's enormous spiritual warfare that's going on.
Yeah, that's right.
So that's not a joke. That's what you're saying simply is that there's spiritual warfare going on all around us that is trying cleverly to seduce and deceive people anyway, anyhow.
Yeah, and it's easy. It's easy. On this planet, it's easy. Most people are susceptible. They fall for it in 2 seconds because they don't question anything or check anything. That's a real problem. The only reason this is done is because we're only here for one reason. This is what I found out and figured out afterwards. The only reason anyone comes to Earth is to make heaven for themselves.
Right.
You must have the physical component, because heaven is the unification of the physical and the spiritual components.
Right.
It's the balance, the perfect balance of those two. It contains both at once. And because of that, you must come into an incarnation to generate it. You can't generate it without engaging in something physical in order to generate it.
Well, would it be also you can't engage we're all spirits, so we know that. So, but in order we come here, we're in the physical realm in order to get back to where we were with God, so to speak. because this is testing ground. This is a ground where the metal, you find out who you really are. What is your metal? And maybe I'm not saying it right. Go ahead.
There's a kind of misunderstanding about God and heaven. God is your true nature. God is your true self.
Right.
It's your spiritual self. It's the nature of eternity and being. That is God. There's only one spirit. We're all part of the same spirit. It's not ideal. It's not ideal because nothing can change. Imagine being the abyss and having nothing but the abyss to look at. It's very boring. So we need something to engage our awareness with. We need something that we can be happy with. And so the idea is we need an ideal home because we haven't got a home. In the abyss, it's just your awareness. You are simply the awareness of eternity. So the desire is to have a beautiful place to dwell, an ideal home. And the ideal home is what we call heaven. But the only way to make heaven, because it has a form and a shape, it must be made through what is physical. We are already spiritual, therefore we only need to engage with what's physical in order to make heaven, which is a balance of the two. It's a perfection of the two. It's like mixing oil and vinegar to make a nice vinaigrette, rather than just drinking vinegar by itself, or oil are a bit unpalatable alone.
Right.
When you mix them, it's better. There's a nice flavour there. You're pleased. It pleases you. In a similar sort of way, heaven is the most pleasing thing to us as spirits. And we're here to make it. That's what we're here to make. That's the one reason we are on earth in a physical life, is to make heaven. That's it. And that is what is prevented by all these demons, because they know damn well that we're here for that one reason, and they know how to fool us into thinking that we have no idea what we're doing. See, nobody knows that we're here to make heaven. That's why I wrote the book recently, Heaven is a Cloud, on purpose, because being there, I lay it all out on the line as it is. I say that this is why we're here, this is the proof behind it, this is why I think like this, and here are the people in the ancient path to say exactly the same that I'm saying, just to back up what I'm saying, so you can see everybody who ascends says the same thing. We all agree with each other automatically. We all know the truth.
Right.
The truth can't change. It's always the same that you find. Everyone finds the same truth. It never changes. So that's the war. That's what the war is about. The spiritual war is to prevent people making heaven and being happy for themselves. Because demons love misery. They love spreading misery and concern, seriousness. And destroying joviality and enjoyment and that sort of thing. And they overly indulge. People that associate with enjoyment with indulgence, but that's not necessarily the case. A demon will indulge, and they'll say they enjoy their indulgence, but they become worse as a result of it. But then they excuse themselves. Demonic nature. I'm very familiar with demonic nature. It really does disgust me in every way, shape, and form. Because it's not thinking. It's just self-gratification for the sake of it. There's no thought behind it, you see. It doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't produce anything useful.
It does the opposite. It does the opposite. It will drag you down and destroy you. That's why, for example, you hear a long time ago used to be that whiskey was called spirits, which they are spirits because they destroy people. They destroy their families. One person who's an alcoholic can destroy, especially a man or a woman, not the children, so to speak, but it will destroy the whole family unit completely. Will destroy it. And yet, so it's called spirits, and yet people indulge in that. You see, they get so much involved. There's nothing wrong with drinking alcohol, beer, or something of that nature. But the problem simply is people indulge in it for some reason. A lot of it, I think, is simply they want to escape something. They can't deal with reality or whatever, and so it's an escape mechanism. But the problem is simply yes, you escape it for a short time, but then you come back to not only having a hangover, but then things are worse than they were before.
That's right.
So it doesn't make any sense. The same thing, part of it I could say, with the issue of sex. it's the same thing in overindulging in that. There are people who do things just to be quote unquote to have it, do that to somebody, and it's a very selfish thing. And not selfish in the right way, but in a selfish way it's done. And so that's why it's glorified today. You see it all over the place. You see.
Yeah.
And I'm not.
That's right.
In a relationship with a husband and a wife, or a girlfriend and a boyfriend, that's a different situation. But it just goes counter. It's something that's beautiful, yet it's destroyed. It's countered. You see.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, there's a line in, I think it's on the Origins of the World, or Gnostic text, where they say the Archons defiled the body of Sophia. And that simply referring to the physical nature is fundamentally demonic. It's fundamentally demonic. It's self-serving, nothing more. It's like somebody who's makes excuses. They are self-righteous. Yeah, self-righteousness is the purview of the devil. Self-righteous. Oh yeah, but I thought this and I think that, and therefore I'm right. I must be right because I say so. Self-righteous. Utter nonsense. No recognition of what's true, objectively. Let's forget that. No, I'm right. I don't care what you say. I'm simply right.
Very, very easy way, and that's an easy way to, you know. I would say it's a form of escapism in some ways too.
Yeah.
It doesn't deal with reality.
You're drinking, you lose track of your emotions when you drink. You
Right.
have an emotion, or you're just overly happy and you love everyone. You know, you say, "Hey, I love you, man," and the pub is drunk.
Right.
You wouldn't say that otherwise. You know, that sort of thing. It distorts people. Drink, I think it distorts things.
So
Well, I can have a drink, but it doesn't matter. I'm better get drunk.
right. But you were talking about. So did you want to say any more about Angkor Wat? No.
Not really. I mean, I think sacred sites like that are very powerful and they can have an effect on you. But I was thinking, how many people go through there every day and don't experience anything? You know,
Probably millions. Probably millions. Not every day, but I mean, millions have gone there. I don't know if they're looking for that. They're probably looking at. And this is a question I want to ask you real quick before I forget. Is that where Angkor Wat, all this areas where was that where the old equator was at one time, or am I wrong on that?
I think so, personally. Yeah, I think the Earth has changed somewhat in the last, I don't know how long, but
right.
A lot of the ancient sites are built on a band around the Earth.
Right. Is there? Yes.
Tilted to our current equator.
Right, because the current equator is basically half and half of the planet. Right? Half of the planet is the equator, and the upper part and the lower part. That is what we call the northern part and the southern part. I would see it basically being centralized around the whole band of the planet. So, but I gather simply is where Angkor Wat is that I've looked on someplace, saw something saying basically it was what happened at Angkor Wat. There's enormous ley lines that come into that area. I mean, just so that's why. And the other thing simply is, I'll say this. I think you can correct me if I'm wrong, but royalty at that time, maybe 1,200, 1,000, whatever this was, they built these temples. Royalty chose to do this in order for the people to come to something of this nature if they're ready. That was their responsibility to the people, was to have special places like that for their people to come and to, ascend.
You naturally do that. You realize what it is, you think, my God, this is what everyone's here for. Let me help them achieve it. Let me help them understand and realize this is what they're here for. So in that case, you build a temple dedicated to the issue of samadhi, the sacred trance when you meet God. Because you go into a trance and you look at that light. It's very unusual. A transcendental kind of trance, you could say.
Right. Some would say simply, it's that speculation would say you must have been on drugs when you were there, such and such. That would be what some people say, to dismiss it and say, "Well, they must have been on drugs, such and such." And I'm like,
right. But if anyone's going to dismiss it, why? See, you could say, well, maybe I didn't meet God, maybe I just imagined it. But then you see what happened 5 days later proved it.
right.
That's the proof. If nothing happened afterwards, I wouldn't even have bothered mentioning it to anyone. I just say, if somebody asked something, I say, I think I met God. All right. Okay, fine, great. That's what you say. You wouldn't say anything. But because of the illumination that occurred 5 days later, I have done another miracle. So there's no question. There's no doubt in my mind at all.
So
exactly what happened.
I'm going to ask you a question because I think it's very. You tell me when you got to go, such and such. But there are those that I've communicated with some of this stuff, sharing with people, and we talked about it. You talked about it with Steve in the past to deal with the issue of the two keys that are involved. What has transpired with you and others who have been involved with what I would call Kundalini, that not necessarily bad, but the point simply is they didn't get the two keys. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, I noticed, looking around over the last few years at other people's experiences and what have you, that there's a general thought that meeting divinity or having a divine experience is enough, but it's not. It's nothing but an introduction. But a lot of people, because it's so powerful, they come away from it thinking, my God, that was it. That was the ultimate experience I'm ever going to have, They don't realize there's something else to do. So it's basically what's called the first key to heaven. And there are specifically two. There's a gold and a silver key. The gold key refers to your heart and this loving samadhi, sacred trance, being with divinity, knowing God. All this thing, this is the first key to heaven. Meeting God is the first key to heaven, period. The effect that that's going to have on you, if you're so inclined, it seems, if you're so intellectually inclined to understand or want to understand things, because a lot of the people I've heard talking about meeting God don't seem to want to understand anything. They just found it amazing that they had a divine experience.
It's all about the experience. It wasn't about God.
Yeah. One girl, she was about 17. She was actually crying. She's on YouTube, and she can't stop crying. And that's what it does to you. You cry a lot after you meet God because it releases a lot of the physical problems, things that you were worried about,
right.
Stressed about.
Right.
You stop stressing it, and it literally just falls away from you. And as it does, so you cry your eyes out. You cry so much. I mean, I cried for 15 months after
wow.
Every single day for about 5 or 10 minutes. Every day.
Was that crying based upon the thankfulness and gratefulness of what has happened to you? Right.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
You can't believe that it happened to you. You just can't believe it. It's just like,
why me? Maybe you say.
Not so much why me, but oh my God.
Okay.
I am considered by God to be worthy of having some sort of companionship.
Right.
We're not useless, lonely worms that nobody wants to talk to.
Right.
So we are important.
Right.
We do have something to say.
We have value.
Yeah, we do. And that is absolutely astounding. It just amazes you that's actually real. In a world that constantly says there's no such thing as God, there's no such thing as spirituality, it's all bullshit. Stop listening to it.
Right.
Crack on with science and just stick with that. You'll be alright. And they will buy it, and they just regret it, and they think, oh God, is that what I do? So,
but what I'm trying to say simply is not the Catholic Church simply shows us the gold and silver key. Are there other illustrations of that also, those two keys or two things that are somewhere else in artwork or wherever to show that you just dealt with the one part, you didn't complete the whole deal.
Yeah, a lot of the Renaissance paintings are showing you the keys to heaven and you don't realize it. For example, I can't remember who painted it, but it's in the recent book. It's a painting. There's 4 people in the painting. There's a child holding a candle with Jerusalem, which is lit, and there's an old man with a big white beard in front of him at a table, queuing. He's knocking. He's creating the Ten Commandments. This old man represents God.
Okay.
And the young boy represents the Son of God.
Son of God.
And two angels standing behind them. This scene represents what's called metaphysics, which is the fullness of your spiritual nature, which goes from 0 to infinity, and it is singular. So 0 and infinity are aspects of singular nature. So these three issues are the three issues, the three people in the painting that are not the little boy. The little boy represents Jesus Christ. He's holding a light. He's in relationship to God. He's in love. You can see he's in love with the old man. He loves the old man. So there are the two keys to heaven. The love for God, the direct nature of having a relationship, being in the same room, is the first key. And the second key is the candle flame. So in one painting, you've got an encapsulation of the nature of becoming divine, or coming to understand your own divine nature. Because you are divine in nature, fundamentally. You simply need to create heaven, basically, with your divine nature, in conjunction with your true self. That's all we're doing here. You know, I didn't know that. Right. Now I do. So this is what I tell people if they ask. You're here to make heaven, and there is no other reason. Everything else is superfluous. Obviously, do what you want, but recognize why there is a physical nature to your existence. It's part of your existence. It's a gift. Your life is a gift for you to make the greatest thing there is, which is heaven, for yourself, and to have companionship rather than being alone in the abyss. Because as a singular spirit being singular, it's just one person. Right. So when you return to the abyss, there is nobody else. No one there. It's just you. You are the single spirit in that case. You know, you need to realize, my God, I'm on my own. I'm alone. Right. What about companionship? What about enjoyment? What about what about meaning to my existence? Because it's a meaningless existence. It doesn't mean anything. But creating heaven and having companionship at this truthful, genuine level, that is meaningful. It fulfills you. It's fulfilling. That's the issue of being fulfilled, I think. Yeah.
So it's been 9 years since you had that event in your life. Is that about right? Mm-hmm. You did it, I think, in December of 2014. So
that's right. That's
right. Approximately 9 years.
Yeah, 21st of December was the Ascension Day, which is winter solstice, funnily enough. It's timing.
So the Catholic Church is actually, in some of their symbols, is actually sharing truth.
Yeah, they actually represent the truth. They literally represent the truth. It's just unfortunate that after all this time, they've misunderstood certain things. And there's an ideal example of that towards the end of the Gospel of John. I think it's John 20:30. It's just a couple of lines in its own title that says the purpose of the Gospel of John. And it tells you that Jesus Christ is the Messiah and the Son of God. And it's an English sentence, but right. It uses a Hebrew word in the middle of the English sentence, which is misleading. I don't know whether it's purposefully misleading or not. Right. The word Messiah in English is anoint. And the word anoint can have a variety of endings. So you are anointed with the anointing of God. Right. So the ending on the word anoint is different depending on how you use it. Right. So when you realise that they've got an inappropriate Hebrew word in the sentence, whether on purpose or not, if you put the original English word back into the sentence, it makes perfect sense all of a sudden. Jesus Christ is the anointing of God. That is correct. Right. Jesus Christ is what you are anointed with. Right. The Son of God is the cloud of heaven that is produced by you and God. It's your child. You are his mother. You're his mother, right. You are his mother. God is his father. And as a mother, because the father is not physical, there was no physical act to create this child. Therefore, you were a virgin. Right. Wow. That's where that comes from. That's just the origin of that concept. You are the virgin mother of Jesus Christ when you are an illuminate. Wow. Wow. that's where the symbolism comes from. That's why the Vatican is full of the Madonna of trials.
Correct.
Hundreds of them.
Right.
Hundreds. And Jesus on the cross, the crucifixion, is a symbol of the crucifixion to physical life. You are realizing physical life is not what you are. You are spiritual in nature. And that crucifixion represents your illumination when you actually manifest that reality and leave the physical world behind completely and realize you are not that.
Oh, that's I never thought about it that way, Phil. Interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
You wouldn't see that, you being brought up in a Catholic church and me being brought up in a Protestant church. There is no Jesus on the cross in Protestant churches, because they see it simply as he rose, he arose from the dead, such and such. But the point simply is that is not exactly the whole truth there neither. You see, it's amazing how these symbols are used in a way that mislead people or can actually lead people in the right way. You see.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. If you have somebody who tells you what they really mean and why they mean that and what's going on, you realize, oh, I see, this is what you're commemorating.
Right.
Yeah.
And then it makes sense. But to Protestants, we would say, wait a minute, and this is, I'm just not trying to put Catholics down. I'm just saying simply, well, he arose. Why would he be on the cross? He arose. He died. They're taking a literal interpretation, you see. Oh, and so he arose. So he's now resurrected, such and such. So there's no purpose for him to be on the cross, you see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When reality simply is that they using symbols in a wrong way can also lead people astray too.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, yeah. And the symbol is supposed to be sort of uncorruptible.
Right.
But you can corrupt it by misinterpreting it. That's where the incorruption can
right.
occur. Yeah. And most people do that. Most people misinterpret these ancient symbols. So they don't know about the essential event. They don't know about the keys to heaven.
No.
They don't know what it feels like, or the experience of it, or what it really means, or what the Son of God really is, and how that works, and what it means to you as an individual. That it's now your home. The Son of God is now my home.
Right.
It's very unusual. How do you explain that to someone?
Well, how you do that? The only way you can is just share it, but also they have to experience themselves.
Yeah.
In other words, to know how to drive a car, you don't just ride in it and be a pastor. You take the hold of the wheel and you drive it and know what the responsibility is, but also the joy of driving a car. You see.
There you go. There you go. That's it. Yeah, that's right.
See? And so, is I was going to say something else. I don't want to say it. Because I've learned some things today also. I try to learn as much as I can. What are there other? Do you know others? Say, I got here. Well, it's just a general question. What does Scripture have to say about illumination or ascension? Which I know that the word ascension has become a very popular word. Even illuminate is also a popular word, and maybe even the word enlighten, which are buzzwords, but in reality begin to see people in the wrong direction. Those words have energy and power in them, but what's happened is another force, a group of people have used those in order to deceive people also. Correct.
That's right. Yeah. There's a lot of showing off on planet Earth. A lot of showing off.
Right.
People wanting you to adore them because apparently you're an enlightened person.
Or put on a pedestal.
There's too many people like that. There's just too much of it, and they don't do anything for anyone. They just take their money. They make a living out of it, and you can fool people like that as well very easily.
Well, I would say one of the biggest red flags to me, and I've shared it a couple times on my Facebook page, if someone's asking you for money to tell you something, pretty much surely they're deceiving you because they're doing it for money. They're doing their job, either giving you a reading from the tarot cards. I don't mean it badly, but I mean it simply they're giving you a reading from tarot cards, and you're putting money out to get something from them, and they're going to tell you something that's going to always be what I would call rosy in some ways, to actually, because they want you to keep coming back, because it's about making money, profiting off other people. So they're not going to give you some negative thinking, whatever they read from these particular cards. They're going to tell you something nice and juicy, so you'll come back again.
Yeah, tell you like that. Obviously, there are intuitives who do good tarot card readings, so to say, but ultimately, divination, I find divination a complete waste of time. A total waste of time. I just don't need it.
What do you mean by divination compared to reading cards?
I'm talking about someone who, even if they intuit, they read cards and they come out with a story that may or may not fit your life at the time. If it fits your life, it's simply a coincidence, because most of what they say afterwards doesn't go anywhere, and they haven't got good advice for you apart from trying to be happy. Okay, well, I don't need you to tell me that. And I don't need you to tell.
That's also a generalization. That's not a specific. In other words, it's a generalization, so it fits all the 95% of the people out of the 100%, so to speak. Instead of getting to a specific detail and say, well, this is something such as might happen in your life. They don't do that. You see, they don't. Go ahead.
Don't forget, the people who do this make so much money they don't need to go to work.
Right.
See, that's the incentive. They think, and actually they think they're doing God's work by reading stupid cards. I find the whole thing utterly useless and futile and stupid. To the point stupid, I'd call it. It's a waste of time. If you want to get on with your life, just get on with your life. You don't need divination to help you. It doesn't help. It just puts you off, and it actually creates an expectation that is unrealistic as well. Totally unrealistic.
Yes, because expectations.
They get very disappointed.
Right, the expectations are high, and when they don't get there, that particular expectations, it's a completely bam. They go down and become depressed. What did I do wrong here? What did I do wrong? What? I thought I was doing what was right.
All we need to do is encourage more cynicism when it comes to these things. If someone tells you a prediction that takes 20 minutes, I'll listen to it, fine, and I'll just, whatever, and carry on my life, because it's not going to happen. I know it's not going to happen. I've only ever heard one prediction in 43 years that ever came about, and I've heard tons of it. I give all these people so many chances to prove themselves, and 95% of them fall flat on their face. They haven't got anything to say. They're just making money out of people and making a living. There's nothing special about what they're doing. It doesn't help. None of them will tell you you didn't make heaven either. They'll tell you, oh, you get to experience certain things. Well, what's the flipping point of that? There must be a point.
We're all experiencing something here. I mean, that's again a general statement. We're going to experience something. We're going to experience. So what? You're going to find a man, or you're going to find a woman. Well, that's usually what happens anyway, such and such. I mean, those again are general statements. They're not specifics. You say, well, he's going to be such and such.
Should I crash a plane that I'm on just because I should experience a plane crash?
No.
What are they saying? What are they even talking about? You're not here to experience anything. You're here to make heaven. Period. Forget the money experiences. You can experience anything you like. It doesn't mean anything. If it advances you, then great. If it most experiences do nothing, apart from get on your nerves. To be honest, a lot of the experiences I have, I just walk away from because they're created by childish people who have an agenda. I have nothing to do with that. I just walk away. Advances you. You're just wasting everybody's time. This is what people do. They waste their time. I feel. But that's my opinion. That's just my opinion. I think everyone's wasting their time on planet Earth.
I think you're right. Yeah, we all waste our time on this planet. We do.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with pursuing your life for the sake of maintaining your life. There's nothing wrong with that. And if you do that to the point where you completely ignore why you're here in the first place, that is foolish.
So let me ask you a question. I'm going to change this a little bit here. Maybe you've already explained some of it. I was going to ask you something. Who were the key people who have had an enormous help with their life? And I think you mentioned a couple of them. That being four of them.
The first one was Bruce Lee.
Okay.
Bruce Lee, I couldn't believe it. When he opened his mouth and spoke about philosophy, I was shocked. I thought this guy was just a violent martial artist in movies. No, this was a serious philosopher. And I learned a lot from him in the first place, a lot from him. And then I moved on to a guy called Stan Tenen, who is a bit of a genius, who founded the Memory Foundation in New York. He's a Jew, who discovered the true the graphic nature behind the Hebrew alphabet. That the modern contemporary Hebrew alphabet has a graphical nature, and it's rooted in mathematics that very few people realize or know about. He taught me all about that, which has turned out to be very useful indeed. And he associated himself with Arthur Young, which through him I found out about Arthur Young and read up on Arthur. So that was the third person. The fourth one was Walter Russell. So these four people, these four men, had the greatest influence on me in my mind. Those four. Yeah.
So there's no mention of Manny P. Hall. You didn't mention him.
No, I've read Manny P. Hall, but I just consider him to be a scholar.
Yeah, he's what I would call, I think you used the word intellect or scholar.
And he's an esoteric scholar.
Right.
Yeah. He knew about stuff. He didn't actually do it. He just knew about it.
He was basically what I would call regurgitating whatever was taught, what he was taught or what he studied and regurgitated. But he never experienced anything what we're talking about.
I don't know.
I would not sense that. I would assume that he would, unless it was in later life. I know that he was basically what the story has said is he was killed, basically, and he didn't die a natural death. These guys killed him, and I guess basically to extort and get money, whatever. But the point simply is that. As far as I can tell through his life. I'm not saying he's not valuable to read, but I am saying simply is that he's never had the ascension deal. And neither can we say, as far as I can tell, these other men you mentioned, as far as I can tell,
That's right.
Never did.
That's right.
But that doesn't mean they're not, which I was, excuse me. You come from a little bit different perspective than I do, because we talked about it earlier, that you come from a very scientific mind structure framework, so to speak, and in a way that basically you wanted to prove God through science, so to speak. If that's a good way of saying it. May not be.
Kind of.
Right.
I wanted to figure out truth through logic, basically.
Right.
Science and that was the root of that.
And we have a lot of people who, with that statement, we have a lot of people who poo-poo on what we call logical thinking these days. It's almost, I call it like the pendulum swings from one extreme to the other extreme. It never comes into what I would call in a stable position. So everything today is based upon emotions, as far as I can take it. And even though I've taken what they call some classes based upon postmodernism and modernism, how modernism and postmodernism has had enormous effects upon people's lives, that what they think is important really isn't that important, but yet it's how a stream of certain thinkers have had influence upon the rest of the humankind in the last 120 years, so to speak. In the last those years, because of the modern thinking and now the postmodern thinking, so to speak, and has had a negative influence upon people's their lives. And that's what I call a stream, so to speak. So, in Scripture is also clear. Now, I come from that background, from a historical, some philosophical perspectives, and also basically grounded in church in a way which I have come to realize that what the church was teaching was not true. because their perspective of you is that you are nothing but a worm in God's eyes. So, in other words, that how can you make that statement about God? You don't know who God is, because you make that statement saying God is some type of evil tyrant out there speaking it. And that is not the truth about who God is. God is not some evil tyrant out there trying to mess up your world.
No, yeah, quite the opposite.
Yes.
Quite the opposite.
And so that whole inflection of thinking has had an impact upon me, and it's not just me, but most people in the Bible Belt, is where I'm at in the South, is that, we're nothing but sinners. And it's like,
yeah.
wait a minute, there is good in us. There is good in us, because we see that around us, but we poo-poo on that, and we almost dwell on the negative, how many bad things that mankind does, but yet they don't see the good.
Yeah.
You see how
that what you're talking about there is fully emphasized in the Gnostic texts. I don't know why some of them weren't included in the Bible. They really do make a distinction between spiritual and physical natures. And the only reason we're thought of by certain sects as being sinners when we're born is because we're born into a physical body. And physical nature is not the same as spiritual, so it is a sin. Or it isn't a state of ignorance.
Right.
Sin is action. Ignorant action is sin.
Yes, you make it based. I think you made also being not conscious, unconsciousness is sin. Also, you made a statement of that nature. That makes perfect sense, because simply people are reacting and doing it in unconscious state. They're not seeing the whole picture of what is going on around them.
Yeah.
They're only seeing as what I would call a telescope perspective or a microscope perspective, and what's wrong with you, and not seeing other things. I'm not saying the other extreme, going, well, you're great and everything. I'm not seeing that. And you have a balanced perspective to see that you do make mistakes here, and you are capable of doing good things, and many people do good things for people, so to speak. That's in a general state. So
yeah. To add to that, a lot of people think that perfection, the idea of perfection, God, divine perfection, is in your performance, in your performance in life. It has nothing to do with these things. It has nothing to do with your physicality whatsoever. That is a physical thing, a performance in life. How good you are at your job. There's a competitive attitude.
Right.
There's no competition in spirit concerned.
No.
Perfection is how honest you are with yourself.
Right.
That's it. That is perfection. To God, you being perfect means you are totally honest with yourself all the time. Therefore, you are now perfect in God's sight. That is God's perfection. That's how God sees perfection. Like your performance. What if I cut your legs off? How are you going to run? And what you're going to say, well, my performance has been deterred.
Right.
I can't perform anymore. I can't be perfect.
Right.
It's got nothing to do with perfection.
Interesting.
Be honest with yourself, and you will be perfect. Doesn't matter how many limbs you've got or not. It means nothing. It's your attitude. That's what perfection is. There's no question. So to hear these things I've learned directly from God, that people misunderstand and get completely wrong. They actually think that performing with the ego in mind is the right way to be. And the spiritual community thinks that you will manifest your favor from God with riches and all sorts of wonderful moments in your life. There'll never be a bad moment ever again. What a load of nonsense. It's utter nonsense. There is nothing but bad moments in life.
Yes.
And it never stops. So
It's a very childish way of looking at things.
Yeah. God will reward you with abundance. Well, what kind of abundance are we talking about here? Because I've been rewarded with psychic abundance and spiritual abundance, not money.
Right.
I don't have any money. I don't care about such things. It doesn't mean anything to me.
Well, it's very hollow. It's very hollow. All it does is allow you to buy stuff and, whatever. And actually takes... Go ahead.
Sorry, I beg your pardon. Just to say, it also gives the impression that if you're talking from some pokey little room online and you're saying great, profound knowledge with you. A lot of those spiritual people will switch you up because you're not sitting in a rich environment.
Right.
To apparently prove your favor with God.
Right. Not in a palace or a beautiful home. Right.
It's utter nonsense.
Right.
Yeah. It's garbage. It's New Age garbage. And the New Age is full of garbage. Garbage ideas that are pointless and useless.
Yeah, that's true. The New Age is, I believe, been very clever type of tool that was used to. They knew that Christianity was dying out, and they brought in what we call the New Age perspective. And the New Age perspective has gotten people off on another tangent, just like somewhat Christianity is. Although in some ways Christianity had some essence of truth in it, it just wasn't being taught, so to speak. But the New Age is simply built on what I would call quicksand.
Yeah. It doesn't go. It's just got no depth.
There's no doubt at all in it. It's just whatever I feel. Whatever. So that's what I call postmodernism. It's just simply if I want to do it. If I feel like it's good for me or whatever, and yet it's bad for everybody else. That type of thing. Then it's okay. It's okay. I'm only doing. It's like pulling your hair out. It's like, you're playing games. You're actually playing games with your spiritual walk by looking at the New Age. You really are. It's actually far, to me, there was some essence of truth in Christianity there, but with New Age, it's farther away.
Yes.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
There are no symbols there. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, they just laugh at the idea that you're here to generate heaven. They say, well, no, it's nothing to do with that. We're here to find enjoyment and love each other and, be good to ourselves and love ourselves. If they find there's nothing wrong with loving yourself, that's a divine understanding. But, if you're going to ignore psychology and the depth of the human psyche in its shadow nature, which is a flipping monster, waiting to come out of every person. You have to recognize that the human being has a subconscious, and it's extremely dangerous, the subconscious, if you don't develop it, if you don't delve into it and figure it out and bring it into the conscious mind and unify the conscious with the subconscious. Now, there a lot of these people turn into monsters after a while. They were New Age for years. All of a sudden, they flipped. The police are after them. They're chasing them down. And they get arrested. And it turns out they were having sex with kids or something.
Right.
You think, oh my God, what is wrong with you people? You're supposed to be someone who's a role model.
Right.
In the New Age.
Right.
Where is the role modeling? That's not a role model. That's someone who's bullshitting himself and everybody else. That they're always happy.
Always happy, right. Cannot.
Yeah, I'm usually happy myself, but to say that you can't look at the world and feel compassion for the suffering, the pointless, needless suffering, done nothing. I feel compassion for that. It irks me that I can do something about it, but nobody will listen to me. That is my irk. That is my thing. It hurts me.
It hurts you, right?
Yeah, I feel hurt by that. So I want to help and I can. And they don't know who I am. They don't think I have anything to say. Because they're too proud and not happy. It's human nature. It just gets in the way of everything. It just stands in the way of what's right, I feel. And it's the demonic thing again, self-righteous nonsense.
Right.
Me. You have to get yourself to 5 minutes. What there is objectively. Realize you're part of it. And that you're here for a really good reason. That's for your benefit. Only for your benefit.
I don't want to keep you, like I said. We were supposed to. Yeah, because we were supposed to. I may have miscommunicated with you somehow because I was going to meet with you at 8 o'clock this morning. So, which was 1 o'clock your time. I don't know if I misunderstood you or you misunderstood me.
Our clock went back 2 days ago.
That's what it is. Oh my goodness! Again. Oh, that's. Can we just leave the clock alone? Leave the time alone, please? I was thinking about that, and I thought, oh no. And I said, well, it's supposed to be next week. Next week, they're going to change the time here in the United States. So it's going to be, they're going to turn the clock back again. And I'm like, can we just leave it the way it always supposed to be? Can we just stick with nature? Why do we have to come in here with this man-made idea? We have to change the clock, move it forward, move it back. This is asinine to me. Because again, it's getting away from nature. So that's the reason why, okay, that's the reason why, okay. I thought that in the back of my head, I said, wait a minute, maybe we're wrong. Maybe they changed their time because I used to listen to shortwave radio, and I knew that shortwave affects Europe in a different way than us. It would be their clocks are set a certain way, and in America it would be different. I'm like, well, okay. It's just, anyway, I was like, okay, I'm here at 8 o'clock. And I said, okay, and I'm like here in front of you. And I was like, okay, I'm getting exasperated. So, wanting to talk to you and share this with others. And I told people, oh, yes, we'll be on air at 8 o'clock in the morning today. And then some people said, well, this is fine. I was, well, I'm not going to be around such and such. I'm like, okay, such and such, da-da-da. And so in other words, how many hours are you ahead of me now? You're 4 hours or 6 hours ahead of me?
I would have thought it would be 6 hours.
Okay, all right. So, okay.
Yeah, it was 5, now it's 6.
Okay, so I was like, okay, I'm up at early time here, I'm ready, and I'm like, okay, where's he at? And like, okay, sort of frantically. This is my first time I've done anything like this in probably 5 or 6 years. I noticed also that everything has to change, which we already mentioned that, with either Zoom or everybody's got to change something around. It's like, I was happy with the system before. I don't need it any more complicated than it is now. You see, so
now on YouTube, I access my channel on the left-hand side of the screen, but until 3 days ago, it was always on the right for the last 10 years. All of a sudden it's changed over there now. There's no point to it. It's just that these people they pay people in IT every day, so they have to have an excuse to be paid. So they have to change things.
Right.
What world we live in? We're now fixing things that aren't broke.
Right. That's it. There's nothing wrong with it. It's the train's going down the track. It's fine. It's on time. And yet we're going to change. We're going to change something about it. So.
Because those people over there need to be paid.
Right. Yeah.
We need to pay them every day.
Right.
They do a full-time job for the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
So let's keep them busy.
Well, let me ask you another question. Phil, are you still available for the rest of the week? Since I've got you on the air.
Yeah. I'm finishing at 11 a.m. every day this week, so I'm back in at 11:30, ready by 12 noon to go and do whatever.
Okay.
Every day. So 12 noon, English GMT time on at some point.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you want to try? I work tomorrow. You want to try Wednesday?
Yeah. Cool. Sure.
I thought about asking a question, a couple questions. You can stew about them. One would be simply what is metaphysics?
Mm-hmm.
And there are other questions such as what is karma? I think that's another issue that needs to be dealt with because I think people are confused about that. I think
very confused about that.
And go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was just going to say that karma is just another way of saying consequence.
Right.
That's why if we use the word consequence instead, we realize, it is consequences of what we put into action. So the consequence is this. I didn't think of that, so this person now thinks, I'll come and do that, and now they're going to punch me, or whatever. These are all consequences of not communicating properly, let's say, or not dealing with things properly. Or dealing with things properly, you get a different consequence.
Right.
Karma is nothing but consequences.
There are other questions, but that's just some too there. I just popped up. I wrote down here. There's some other questions I want to ask, but
metaphysics is quite easy. It's literally the fullness of your spiritual nature. But as I mentioned before, you are a singular entity, and your spiritual range goes from 0 to infinity. So 1, 0, and infinity are concepts of metaphysics. Metaphysics is these concepts. And linking with all three is the Son of God. The Son of God literally links to the singular nature, because there's only one Son of God.
Right.
Infinity, because he lives in the abyss. zero because it's a zero-dimensional issue.
Right.
Singular nature is zero-dimensional.
It's also timeless, correct?
Yeah, timeless and eternal. Yeah, both. Yeah.
So in reality, timelessness is eternal too.
Yes, yes. That's right.
Because it's not based upon time. It's not linear.
That's right. That's right. And it never changes.
Never will. Right. Right.
Yeah, because our nature is that we never change. If we want a different situation from just staring into the black abyss all the time, we need to go through something that has changed fundamentally as its nature, which is physical nature.
Right.
Which is why we come into physical nature to make heaven, which is a better situation than just sitting in the abyss.
Yeah, I remember you were saying simply is that in one of your videos with I think it was Steve, you basically said, I'm here in abyss, and basically I don't want to be here for the rest of my life, you know, and that you would like to have companionship is one of the things I think you would like to have and be able, you know, so I don't want to be stuck here. The other thing I say, what took place with reiterating something you said earlier was about all this took place in your head. Meaning simply is that's where the light was, that's where all, because you said the shutters closed on your eyes. So how could you see, and I think you mentioned this with Steve, how could you see anything if your eyes were shuttered? In other words, you couldn't see out of your eyes, yet you were seeing things. That had to be within your own head.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
And that's an interesting thing to think about, is that, and that would be your third eye.
Yeah, it's up.
Yeah.
You look like the cloud is the light from your own head.
Right.
It's like your own head
Right.
being free from your body.
Right.
Being separated from the body.
Correct.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah.
No, really amazing. I didn't know any of this was real years ago. I'm absolutely flabbergasted myself. I can't believe we're talking about this. That's incredible.
Well, I'm appreciative of you just simply as talking about these things, because simply is that you give a framework for others to see how what is happening in your life, and then where you're at 9 years later as you are sharing. And I mentioned earlier, but your books also are, we'll talk about that. But what I'm saying simply is to do with you're sharing what I would call what is taking place in your life to others, that those that have ears to hear, you see.
Yeah, that's true. That's right.
And that's it seems to be your calling.
Yes, I would say so. Yeah, definitely.
Right.
Yeah. So that's what I'm going to carry on doing.
And so, I'm going to say something else. What is your, mine just went blank. What is your YouTube channel? It's simply Phil Langdon, is that correct?
Yeah, just Phil Langdon is just my name. Yeah.
And you've done your own videos, also sharing what's happened to you, not only through Steve, but also you've done your own videos also.
Yeah, there's plenty there for people to get their teeth into if they want to have a look. Yeah, there's plenty of choice as well, different subjects, issues in the same ballpark. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So what we'll try to do is I'll meet. So if you're hour, okay, so it's 2 up. So it's 2 o'clock. Okay, it's what time is it really there now? Tell me.
It's now 4:45.
4:45.
So 3:45.
Okay. So actually, here it's 11:45. So it's 4 hours difference instead of 5.
Oh,
so that's
we've gone that way, not that way.
Right. So that's why I'm asking you, so it won't be another mistake. So you're 4 hours ahead of me now. Okay, that's what I need to know, because I don't.
Yeah.
So if I do that, so if I meet with you, my clock time being 9 o'clock, it would be your clock being 1 o'clock.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Then that's what I'll do Wednesday at the same time. How about that?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
Anything else you want to share, Phil?
No, there are free downloads on my channel. If you want to get some deep into some of this stuff, there's plenty of free downloads on the channel. In most of the videos, you'll find free downloads of books that I've written. There's only a handful, there's not that many, and they're very similar. they were.
Well, you do a book on Ascension Handbook. You do a book on Zaptepi. You've done a book on the book of Revelation, and you've done a book on Gnosis text.
I've done two new books. One of them is Focused on the Cloud of Heaven and all the examples that I can back up that with. And the other book is just similar, first three chapters, but the rest of it is all Gnostic texts that I've interpreted. With the interpretation in the text itself, you can see exactly what they're talking about in these Gnostic texts. They bamboozle most people, these texts. People have no idea what they're talking about.
No, because it's written in a different, so to speak, language, so to speak, and I would say, I would agree, I have struggles with that too. What are they talking about?
It's a totally different mode to the biblical language. Yeah, it's a different mode.
Right.
Yeah, it's much more poetic and convoluted. Yeah.
So you didn't have any problem with anything else, and when I sent you the link, it worked. Okay, so the only problem simply was the time difference. That's where I missed, because I was up at 8 o'clock and you wasn't there. So, and I'm thinking, where's he at?
Yeah, probably wasn't even happening. Yeah.
No, he wasn't on. I gathered that. Okay, Phil, I'll let you be. I appreciate you. I appreciate you sharing your time. I appreciate you being open. I appreciate your honesty as you share these things that are come from your life. It takes a lot of guts in what you're doing, and a lot of love for others to share this. And I appreciate you very much.
Thank you. I appreciate you asking in the first place, to be honest. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Phil. You have a good day, okay? Thank you for your time.
You too. Yeah, take care. Thank you. Take care. See you next time.
Bye-bye.